How to know if your marriage is under spiritual attack.
Every marriage faces a spiritual attack.
Yes. It doesn't matter where you are. You can be in Africa, in Europe, or you can be American or Asian, or
you'll come across that.
You'll come across spiritual attack. But before you jump into conclusions, we are not one of those people who believe that there is a demon under every rock. No, we're not trying to find demons everywhere in our marriage. We don't do that. We believe in science. We believe in doctors. We believe in psychologists. We believe in counselors, and we do all that. We see professionals when it comes to issues, but we also believe that life is spiritual. Everything is spiritual.
Or you might not know, you might not know that life is spiritual. And so we would like to talk about that, to try and find out why is that? Like, what's the reason?
Yes.
What are the signs that shows that you are going through attack?
Yes.
Because whether you like it or not, it's just going to happen. And we have to understand that the enemy is not for marriage. Anything good, anything that, it's beautiful. His job is to kill it. His job is to destroy it, and his job is to steal it.
Yeah, as the Bible says, the enemy comes to kill, steal, and destroy. And he can use anything. He can use anything. That's why we believe that anything can be spiritual. Any sickness can be spiritual. Any confusion can be spiritual. But we are not saying that every confusion is spiritual. We are not saying that. We are not saying that every sickness is spiritual, or every problem you face is spiritual. But we believe anything can be, because the devil can use anything. So how do you know if your marriage is going through just a normal challenge, life challenge, because we are living in this, world where fallen world, as we call it? And how do you know that it's rather spiritual? It's something else. It's not just a normal headache. It's something else. There is a spirit behind it. How do you know that a behavior is just something normal that requires a counselor, or a behavior requires prayer, like deliverance or something? How do you get to know? So that's exactly what we want to discuss with you today. And we came up with 10 signs. There are millions ways that the devil can work in somebody's life or in a marriage. But we just want to mention 10 ways to help you identify certain areas where you can deal with the enemy. And this will just inspire you. We can't even exhaust the list of how he can work, because
it's these 10, but they're not limited to these 10.
Yeah, they're not limited to these 10. The first way that we see the devil work in people's marriage is unnecessary argument in marriage without a valid reason. We start just to argue without knowing why we are arguing, not without knowing how you're arguing.
There is definitely something that triggers it. Let's say, but that is not something triggers it, and then we go into like a tangent of argument. But if you look deeply into this argument, you realize we didn't need to go that far. We didn't need to go to that point where we were just all worked up, and there was something more. We could have spoken. We could have just had a nice chat, or even a little bit of a breathing. Everybody breathe. And then try to talk to each other again. And so some couples go through that. They go through the period where you're just having unnecessary, we call them unnecessary argument. Like you are arguing over anything. A remote, for example, TV remote, or the temperature of the air conditioning, or like things like it doesn't really matter if it's on 20 or 25, or maybe it matters to you, but you don't need to argue about it, and you see yourself arguing. Sometimes this can be a sign of a spiritual attack. The enemy is just trying to bring confusion in your marriage. And for us, we just realized that if this happens, we have to stop, pause, and ask ourselves what is going on. Often, sometimes we pray, or we just ask ourselves, let's just cool down a little bit and see how the enemy can try to. We usually say stop. we're not getting each other. Something's not right.
Something is not right. And you know, maybe because we are pastors, you know, the devil would like to distract us if we are about to go to lead a meeting or we are about to do something. Those moments are tense already. Everyone is tense already. And he can use those moments to introduce, to bring in true. Ideas that are not. Or in the morning, you are driving to church and he would like to bring confusion at those moments. So check those moments where you are tense already, you and your spouse, and be careful because he would like to inject confusion in those moments. So he can inject himself like that way. So if you are having unnecessary argument, it's not like you hate each other. you may be under spiritual attack.
Yeah. The second point is an ability to listen to wise counsel.
Yes. This can also be a sign of a spiritual attack in a couple. If one of the couples is not listening to advice, no matter what you say, no matter how you go about it, you can't reason them. In fact, we all know that pride is in alignment with the devil's character, Satan's character. So he may inject pride in the relationship, and you see your spouse is not listening at all. Even when you call their parent, they speak to him or their parent. I mean, his parent or her parent. They don't listen. Or you call your pastor or someone you respect and they're not listening. That may be an indication that your marriage is under spiritual attack. Instead of just trying to take him to counseling or trying to take him to a psychologist, start praying. It's not bad to do all those things, but start praying. Because when the devil comes in the picture, he takes even reason sometimes away. So pride is dangerous, and the devil can use pride, like someone inability to listen to wise counsel can be another sign that your marriage is struggling, is under spiritual attack. Yes.
The third one is nightmares.
Yes. Not every nightmare is a sign of spiritual attack. Sometimes you watched a horror movie last night and then you watch that.
Don't watch horror movies.
Yes, but sometimes people dream about the things they watched, or you read a book or something and there was some funny stuff in it and you dream about them, and that can be just your mind playing up games. But a nightmare that is a spiritual attack is out of nowhere. You're just seeing this, scary things or strange kind of dreams that
reoccurring all the time, over and over. And then when you wake up, you have this fear or confusion.
Because God does not come with fear. So when God shows you a dream, it will not give you that bad, negative kind of fear. God's kind of fear is a reverence. But the devil's kind of fear is fear, like you're scared to die. And that is a sign that you may be under spiritual attack if you have nightmares.
The next one is overwhelming fear or despair.
This is just a sense, a feeling. You can be in the bedroom and you just feel like you are expecting something bad to happen, or you can be just in your home, you just feel like something bad is going to happen. Like you feel like something bad is, or you lose just hope. You feel a despair. You don't feel like there is any meaning to life anymore. And that sense of losing hope, like feeling like there's no reason to be, you lose all joy in your marriage,
without cause, without reason,
without any reason. That can be a sign of a spiritual attack. You just a sense, just this overwhelming emotion coming over you. That can be, if your spouse is struggling with it or yourself, you need to know that this requires some spiritual intervention. It's not just normal. It's not normal to just be afraid. It's not normal to just lose hope. It's not just normal to have this despair, feeling of despair. And the next one can be an overwhelming sense of shame, guilt for your past. Like the devil can use that. And often people who have gone through some abuse or something like that, the devil will inject the sense of guilt, like, oh, it's because of you, that's why it happened to you. People who have gone through abuse in the past, more often sexual abuse, they live with this sense of guilt. It's not necessarily their fault, but the devil can use that as a spiritual attack to attack your marriage. So you always feel guilty for something that happened to you. Or let's just reverse that. Something you did, but you have already repented, you have already made amendment, but it will continue to follow you. If you are constantly struggling with guilt, like this emotion of guilt or shame over you, even though you fixed it or something has been done about it, that can be another spiritual attack.
The next one can be various challenges, life challenges coming one after another. Like
yes, or at the same time.
Or at the same time.
Yeah. So
sometimes
someone loses a job, and at the same time their car breaks down.
Yeah.
And at the same time their business is losing money, and at the same time the landlord asks you to move to leave the house, and you see like the mountain of stuff is coming at the same time.
That's not normal.
That often that is a sign of a spiritual attack. Problems are natural. Like you can face a problem, one or two challenges, and you go through it, you overcome it. But when they all come at the same time, and you feel like you are overwhelmed, you can't take it anymore.
Or even when there's not even like a little bit of breathing room, it's one after another.
Exactly. They don't need to come at the same time. You're right. It can be just before you finish one, another one has come. You just resolved one, another one. Yeah, that can be a sense. The devil doesn't want you to enjoy life. Like it's one issue after the other. One issue after the other. That can be another.
Constant setback. That's another one.
Yes, constant
setback. You try to, you feel like you're advancing with something.
Yes.
It stops.
Yes.
You go back to square one again. And it's like it's just like it's so hard. It's like you're pushing against a wall.
They say you make 2 steps forward, you make 3-4 steps backward. You make 1 step forward, you make 2 steps backward in life. And this can be in any area of life. It can be in your finances as a couple. You try a project and it's not just to come and then something will happen. You have to pay a lot of money and then something. Constant setbacks.
The next one is strong urge to do what is known to be wrong.
Yes.
So
this can fall under the category of addictions. You know it's wrong, and even though people can give you advices, you just feel like it's the urge is just there. It's stronger than you. That is a sign of a spiritual attack, and it's not just alcohol and drugs. No, anything you know is wrong, but you can't stop it. You feel like there is. In fact, I think this is even one of the main ways to know that something is a spiritual attack. When you try everything in the natural, but you can't stop it. It can't stop. Someone will go and see the psychologist, will go in rehab. They will do all these things, and yet they will come back and start it again. That is a problem, because there are some addictions that are just habit. Someone need to go in rehab and come back, sober. But when even rehab is not working, when even medications are not working, there is a spirit behind it. And this goes to anything. It goes to anything. It can be a sickness. When you are having sicknesses that the doctors cannot find what it is, like medicine cannot cure, like it's just a mystery. It's just a mystery pain or mystery something. It can be an indication of a spiritual attack. Oh, wait, I'm not saying that any sickness that is not known, diagnosed by a doctor is a spiritual attack. That's not what I'm saying, because medicine can be limited and they won't see what is going on. I'm saying sometimes when you are under spiritual attack, the devil will not allow the sickness to be seen. And when God wants to heal you, he may make even a spiritual sickness to be seen, to become natural, so that you can be treated. I believe that too. I've believed that prayer can reveal something to your doctors. Yeah.
And sometimes you can, like, if it's a sickness, let's say someone's sick and they've been sick over that thing for so long. They've been treated, but it's not working.
Yes.
That means something's just this.
Yeah,
something's just not right.
Spiritual.
It's not right.
So the point we are trying to make is that spiritual things, you can't really see them. You can't diagnose them easily.
Yeah.
So the way to know that something is spiritual is when you've tried everything physical, natural, and it didn't work. Then you know that you are dealing with something different. You are dealing with something spiritual. That's the point we are making. Yeah.
The next one is unforgiveness.
Unforgiveness can be another sign of spiritual attack, because the devil loves grudges. He loves when you can't forgive. Again, we want to be clear. We are not talking about abuse in marriage and your spouse doesn't want you to leave them because you are you are tired of being abused. That is not what we are talking about.
No.
That is not what we are talking about. We are talking about a situation where maybe something happened to you in childhood, or something happened even before you got married, and you come in your marriage with the same thing, the same pain or the same grudge, and you can't forgive. The devil loves that, because he will use that against you and against your marriage. That is the type of unforgiveness that we are talking about. Or for example, if your spouse offended you 2 years ago and you talked about it, you decided to forgive one another, but you're still struggling to forgive. 3 years, you're still struggling to forgive. 4 years, you still struggle to forgive. That can be a sign of a spiritual attack. And the enemy loves that. Why? Because he operates from unforgiveness. That's way revenge. Revenge is who he is. That's what he likes.
For him to operate and torment you.
Yes, he can start from unforgiveness to do so many other bad stuff in your life.
Spiritual blindness and dryness.
When we talk about spiritual blindness, remember C.S. Lewis said something. He said, if I was the devil, if he was the devil, not me, Mike, if I was the devil, I would make sure people don't believe I exist. And I think that is correct with what we see. The devil makes sure, or he tries the best he can to make sure people don't believe he exists. So that's spiritual blindness. So he makes you don't think he exists, or he makes you, even if you think he exists, that's what the dryness comes in now. And you think he exists, you are a Christian, you think the devil exists and God exists. He makes you blind to what he's doing, or dry. Dryness is lack of prayer. When you start praying, you feel like you're tired, or you feel heavy, you feel like God is not listening to you. That's spiritual attack. When you want to read the Bible, you feel like it's confusing, it's too much, I don't understand this, it's boring, you know. That can be a spiritual attack. So it makes you dry spiritually. The devil makes you dry. When you are dry spiritually, when you are in an environment of Christians, maybe church, or you go to visit Christians, or you're in an environment of Christians, you find them annoying. You find like the Christian environment becomes annoying to you. And I know Christians can be annoying, but that is not a Christian thing. It's not. People who are Christians can be annoying, but not all Christians are annoying. That is a misrepresentation of Christianity. Christians can be cool. Christians can be fun. Christians can be kind and nice. But for you, if you find to be in that environment where people are just talking about God to be annoying, that can be a sign of spiritual dryness or spiritual attack.
And sometimes it doesn't have to make you annoyed. You don't have to be annoyed about things, but you just feel like you're not excited anymore to do the things that you know you should do. Like, say, prayer does not excite you anymore.
Yes.
Going to church does not excite you anymore. Yes. Spending time worshiping does not excite you. So when that excitement goes away, as in it fades a little bit,
that is like dryness.
It's that could be a spiritual attack.
Yes.
Yeah.
But when we are spiritually fruitful, like when we are spiritually passionate, we are walking in offense, like we are attacking the enemy, we are breaking his stuff. You pray, you read the Bible, like you are advancing the kingdom of God in your own life, in your own marriage, like you are being productive. But when you are dry, he's advancing. He's advancing. And that's why it's a spiritual attack. Yeah. When you don't feel like praying, you don't feel like reading the Bible, you don't feel like going to church, you don't feel like worshiping. And sometimes you feel like worship music becomes really boring. Like, this music. That can be a sign of spiritual attack. The devil doesn't always operate in obvious ways.
No.
He doesn't always come in the way that you will know, this is the devil, or this is not the devil. When it's red, it's the devil. When it's blue, it's not the devil. No, that's not how we operate. And that's why the Bible encourages us to be watchful.
Watch and pray.
Because we will not always know if it's the devil or not. And that's why my wife and I have decided to take our marriage and our family to consider everything spiritual. Everything is first spiritual before we take it to the doctor or to everything else. If a sickness comes, if a pain comes, we pray about it first, and then we can still see the doctor. Yeah. We can still do everything else. But we are trying to deal with the spiritual aspect first. We take it to God first.
You need to have some discernment as well. You need to be discerning and know that sometimes you feel angry, and then it's you have to like stop and ask yourself and be like, why am I so angry? What's the issue? Why am I going so overboard with this? Is it normal or something else is at play here?
Yes.
And so that discernment helps you to realize, well, that doesn't mean you can't be angry. So being angry is not a bad thing.
No, it's not.
It's just when it becomes overwhelmingly angry to the point where
excessive
it's
anger.
Just you can't
control it.
Yes, exactly. That's when it could be the enemy has already come, because he's always finding an opportunity, finding a way, a door to come in to just torment. And
that is another way the devil works. You just mentioned something important there, Beb. When anger in itself is not a sin,
not a problem.
But when it's excessive, when it's uncontrollable, when you can't control it, it becomes a sin. And that's what the devil does.
Yeah, even sadness. Being sad
is fine. It's a natural
normal. It's a natural part of life. You will be sad at a certain level. But when it becomes like uncontrollable,
when you can't control anger, when you can't control any emotion or any urge, whatever you can't control can be a spiritual attack.
Yeah.
And this is why we decided to just take everything to be spiritual. For us, life is spiritual, but we are living in a natural world. So you can't disconnect from medicine, but we believe life is spiritual. So now what do you do if you realize that you are under spiritual attack? The first advice we can give is don't attack your spouse. Don't attack each other. Attack the attacker, because the attacker is the devil. So from the get-go, if you realize something is happening, go to the source. Don't attack him or her. Yeah, because sometimes people make that mistake and start to call.
And it's very easy to make that mistake.
Oh, yes.
Because if there's an issue, for example, that you're angry about or you're sad about, it could be something that has been triggered. So let's say something that, your spouse does that you don't really like.
Yeah, it can be even an addiction. Even when it's an addiction, it's a bad thing, I understand. Still, attack the attacker. The devil is your enemy, not your spouse.
And that doesn't mean you cannot be, whatever that is that your spouse is struggling with, that doesn't mean that you cannot feel bad about it.
No.
It means that you just need to realize that, okay, this thing is not normal. It's coming from the enemy. I need to change my tactics. So the tactics should change. It's not against my spouse, it's against the enemy. And so you go after the enemy. You don't go after your spouse.
If there is an attitude in your spouse, in your wife that you don't like, don't attack her first. Attack the enemy. You can talk about it, but know who your enemy is. That behavior, if it's a spiritual attack, the more you attack your spouse, the more complicated it becomes, because you are not talking to the actual, you are not addressing the problem. You are not attacking the attacker. You are attacking the victim in that situation.
You can talk about it, as you said.
Yes.
Talk about it, have a conversation over it, but pray about it too.
Yes.
Like have, you know.
And we are not saying you should condone it. You are not condoning it. And don't excuse it. And then another thing, if you are the problem, if you are having that addiction or that problem,
then you are excusing.
Don't say, oh, you know,
I can't.
You know, it's the devil, you know.
I can't.
It's the devil, you know. No.
Let's not do that.
You have to take responsibility. And I've seen this, babe. I've seen people saying, I really need deliverance, you know. No. Deliverance is not a way to avoid responsibility. You know, you take responsibility. You know, take responsibility. Don't hide behind Satan. You know, if you are, we've seen people claiming that it's the devil. The devil made me do this.
I think they got to a point where they wanted the devil to make them do that.
Exactly. Like it.
Because they found like an excuse.
They like it.
I'm going to say that the devil made me do it.
Yes.
You know? So
yes, exactly.
we can go quickly to let's fight the devil, because he's the one who's making me do this.
If you can't control your anger, don't give an excuse that the devil made you do it. If you can't control any addiction in your life, alcohol or something that you can't stop, don't say the devil is making me do it. Take some responsibility. Do something about it.
Realize that you have the ability to go against the enemy.
You do.
You can't agree with him, with his suggestion or his tactics. You have to go against them.
And this leads us in the second point, which is seek deliverance. Sometimes people think deliverance is just all about the person who's going to pray for you. Deliverance should also start from you. I think
it starts. Yes, that's the beginning of everything.
You need to be willing to be free. Most people don't want to be set free. I'm saying this out of experience. We've seen people who you try to help them. They just like their lifestyle.
It's easier that way for them.
It's easier that way.
Yeah.
So you have to hate the situation. You have to hate the addiction. You have to hate that situation. And when you say you are seeking for deliverance, go for it. Go all in.
Wholeheartedly.
Wholeheartedly.
Yes, that's the one.
I'm so shocked when people are given solutions out there, like other solutions. I mean,
they go
in the world. They do it religiously.
They go with it,
But when they come to God and you tell them you have to fast 3 days or 7 days, you have to do this, you have to do this. No, that's too much. That's too much. Oh, that's too much. But you are doing the same thing out for other things. You're doing the same things. You are following instructions for other things. Why not this one?
Another thing I think it's very important is not give up.
Yes.
Not give up, because sometimes these processes take long.
Yes.
Another way the enemy can kind of discourage you is when it takes long.
It's not changing. Nothing is happening.
I think not giving up is another side of faith.
I love that.
Not giving up and don't give up. You're building up your muscles, and in that process you're actually growing spiritually.
I want to add to what you just said, babe. Someone, you got married to someone at 24, 25. They lived a life 25 years before you. They went through things in their childhood, and you start living together. You realize that there are some spiritual problems to deal with, and you want that to happen in one day, bam, everything is resolved. I don't think so. I think you can stand in the gap for your spouse for as long as it will take to help them get out of those things. Or let's say even if it's not something they grew up with, if it's just a spiritual attack on your marriage, like you are facing some setbacks, you are facing some challenges in your marriage, don't give up. Just keep fighting, because the devil sometimes, remember that the devil is after your faith. He's not after your money. He doesn't need cash. He doesn't need cash. No. He's not after your car or your house he's after your faith. That's why he will keep trying to stay, and that's why the Bible says resist the devil, he will flee. You can resist for 5 years, for 10 years. One day you'll just see victory. So don't give up fighting for your marriage in prayer. If it's unnecessary argument, keep praying. If it's alcoholism or any addiction in your marriage, keep praying. If it's just a lack of peace or fear, whatever is going on in your marriage, don't give up. Keep praying.
Sometimes that prayer you're praying leads you to the right person.
Yes.
So bring someone who has been through exactly what you guys are going through, and that person who just helps you.
Yes.
And you meet this person in some interesting ways that shows you this is a miracle. We've been praying, God just answered.
Yes. And the last thing, maybe the last advice we can give is to build an edge of protection around everything. Let me put it this way. You need to protect and prevent. There are doors that we open to allow the enemy to enter in our lives. That is prevention. Try not to open those doors. There are places you should not go. There are stuff you should not watch. There are things you should not do that open a door in your marriage. So that is prevention. That is building an edge of protection around your marriage. Drugs or stuff, you are opening a door. If you are watching, I mentioned horror movies before. If you watch some kind of horror movies, you are opening a door for fear in your marriage. There are things you should not do. If you are cheating on your spouse, emotionally or physically, you are opening a door. So there are things you should not do to build an edge of protection around your marriage. But another way to build an edge of protection is to pray about your marriage, or pray for anything. Pray for anything, like protect your communication, protect your health, protect your finances, protect your business, your work, and say to God, protect my marriage, protect your sex life. You know, the devil can attack your sex life, because whatever can bring you some fulfillment or joy in your life, he's after it. He's after it.
He's after it. Protect your rest.
Protect your rest.
Time to rest.
Protect everything that may make you, that's the devil can attack to. Of course, protect your children, protect your, whatever is around you. Pray together. Learn to pray together as a couple. Learn to pray for every aspect of your marriage. Learn to cover your marriage.
And this doesn't have to be like a whole hour or two. You can do 2 hours if you want, but this needs to be consistent. It's the consistency we're after. Like, be consistent with your 15-minute together praying. Be consistent with your everyday together praying. Be consistent with your every month, every year. Consistency here is the
The more you pray, the more sensitive you become to spiritual things. So the more you begin to understand when something is spiritual or not. Ask people to pray with you.
People that you trust, people that you know that they will stand with you.
Yes.
Ask them for prayer.
Yes, and this is the power of corporate prayer. This is the power of having a team, a group of people around you. You share, let them pray for you. Of course, it's my website. People and you also, trust.
Something else, as a couple, it's good to intercede for other people's marriages.
Yes.
You don't have to know them. You don't have to know
their problems.
Or you don't have to know them. You just pray for marriages that they will work. That the enemy will, because you know that the enemy is against marriages.
Yes.
So just pray for marriages. That's a way of interceding for other people.
Paul said it, like pray for all the saints. Before you gossip about a couple, pray for them. Ask yourself, have I prayed for them? Before you gossip about, and when I say gossip, before you criticize someone or a marriage that is going down or something is going on, pray for them first.
Thank you for stopping by our YouTube channel. If you got something out of it, like, subscribe, and share it with a friend.
And let us know where you are watching from so we can pray for you. Hope to see you back here. Bye.
Bye.